Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of The Fall of Icarus. This will be Part 11, Chapter 11, entitled Athens' Offering to Crete. All right, you hellions, Aizawa called out. The Autumnal Equinox Festival's today, and we're all going. What? Kaminari asked, tilting his head. Half the class were celebrating, while the other half looked at their teacher dumbfounded. Hitoshi couldn't help but to wonder if Aizawa was having them all go as some type of icebreaker activity to break the class tension. You heard me, Aizawa grunted. Classes are over for the day, so go change into appropriate outfits and meet up at the front of the dorms. I'll join you after grabbing Present Mike and changing myself. Everyone quickly filed out of the room, and Hitoshi had half a mind to text May to see if she wanted to join them, but ultimately decided not to, given how focused she'd been on a couple projects lately. His friend group quietly trudged up the stairs, ignoring everyone fighting over the elevator, and quickly changed before heading back outside and waiting for everyone else. All three of them had dressed in more traditional clothing for the festival, with neutral-colored kimonos and hakamas, yet each had a different uniquely designed haori on top. Katsuki's had orange and red flames dancing up the length, while Shoto's had red and white flowers embroidered throughout the cloth. Hitoshi's own was all black with a shiny purple thread crane embroidery on the back and small detailing on the sleeves. He could tell that his friends' were more expensive, but he pushed down the shame at the fact that he'd gotten his at a second-hand store for only a couple hundred yen. Hey, boys, I invited your friend to come with us, Aizawa said, walking up to them. Hitoshi turned to his teacher to see that he was also wearing traditional clothes, his having a cat design embroidered on it, which seemed very fitting. Yamada and May were with him, both also in traditional clothing. May was wearing a pink flowery kimono, and Yamada was wearing a haori with sunflowers printed on it. As soon as May approached them, Yamada and Aizawa stepped off to the side to talk quietly with one another. Oh, I'm so glad you all wore traditional clothes too, May exclaimed, pulling at her sleeves. It's been forever since I've worn this, but my mom's made me pack it because we can't go to any ceremonies or festivals without wearing them. Katsuki shrugged. My parents are kind of the same. They really just use it as an excuse to promote their clothing brand, though. He reached into his clothes, grabbed the tag in order to show them that it did indeed have his parents' brand name. The whole outfit was made by them, actually. Damn, I keep forgetting your parents are big-name designers, Hitoshi said, whistling in appreciation. Oh, I guess I'm also promoting your parents' business, Shoto said after studying the tag. I think all the traditional clothes I have are made by them. Wouldn't be surprised given who your dad is, Katsuki said with a shrug. He special ordered a lot of clothing from my parents since they work with support companies to proof the fabrics they use. Shoto hummed in response as the dorm doors opened. A couple of their classmates started piling out of the dorms, and Hitoshi's group stepped to the side, behind the teachers as they watched everyone slowly gather in front of the dorms. Most of their classmates were wearing casual clothing, but there were a couple others that were wearing the more traditional wear. Ida was wearing a navy blue, with a wave design. Aoyama was wearing probably the most glittery ever made, and most of the girls had come out in kimonos. Momo's was the most extravagant and most definitely the most expensive, with its red and gold detailing, making gorgeous designs of cranes and flowers. Jiro's was almost as extravagant, and Hitoshi wouldn't be surprised if it had been a gift from the former, with its purple detailing and wisteria and swans. The two girls spotted them and immediately headed over with a soft smile and a smirk, respectively. Hi, Momo, Jiro, Shoto greeted. Hi, Sho, everyone, Momo said, smile growing. Were you all expecting this? Not at all, Katsuki huffed. I think they're using it as an excuse to break some of the tension, Hitoshi admitted. Not that I think it's going to work. Your teacher threatened to restrict my hours in the lab if I didn't come out, May said. Figured that meant I could take a couple hours off. The group started laughing, and Hitoshi went back to watching people come out the door. He immediately made eye contact with Mina, who was stepping out, and her eyes brightened as she took in the group around him. Incoming, Hitoshi warned. Cats! Mina called excitedly, running up to them and pulling along Kirishima and Kaminari. Saru followed behind, chuckling at the excited girl. Mina was the only one in the group in traditional wear, with a black and gold floral kimono. The boys were all wearing t-shirts and jeans in their own varied styles. What's up, Raccoon Eyes? Katsuki asked, raising an eyebrow at the group. We wanted to know if we could walk around with you guys at the festival, Mina said. It's been a while since we've all hung out. Her face dropped a bit with the last statement, and Hitoshi felt a bit bad that they'd practically lost one of their friends. But then again, they weren't sticking up for Izuku. Do whatever you want, I don't care, Katsuki huffed before turning to Mei. Are you seriously bringing projects with you to the festival? Mei looked up from the tool she was tinkering with, offended at the question. When do I not bring a project with me? That's exactly my point, Goggles, Katsuki said, rolling his eyes. She probably just needs something to fidget with, like I do, Kaminari offered, pulling a fidget cube out of his pocket. It helps me actually focus on what's going on around me better. You! Mei shouted, running up to Kaminari and grabbing onto his arm. I'm keeping this one. Hitoshi sighed and shook his head. Mei, you can't just lay claim to people like that. Yes, I can, Mei sniped back, hugging his arm tighter. Kaminari laughed, albeit awkwardly, as he handed Mei the fidget cube. I guess it's fine. She's going to take that apart and build a bomb, Shoto warned in a joking manner. Kaminari's eyes widened. What? How? She'll find a way, Shoto said, nodding with his typical stoic face. Kaminari looked absolutely terrified, but before Hitoshi could point out that Shoto was joking, Aizawa spoke up. All right, everyone's here, so we're heading out, their homeroom teacher announced. Everyone needs to stay in pairs, if not groups, and check in with one of us every hour, Yamada added. The class let out a chorus of agreements, and they finally headed out and left the school grounds. The festival was all around the town, so Aizawa had them walk so that they could check out any booths that were set up on the mountain UA occupied before heading into the main festival itself. As they all walked around the festival, their other classmates kept wandering closer to them and speaking just loud enough so they could all hear. I'm so glad they finally locked up the traitor. I still can't believe that Midoriya could do that to us. Good riddance. I feel safer knowing that we don't have other villains in our class anymore. Only one villain is gone. Those 4 are probably villains as well. I bet Shinso joined our class just so he could take Midoriya's place as traitor. Hitoshi couldn't hold back his laughter when Jiro spat her gum out and it landed on Aoyama's clothing without him noticing. Momo reprimanded her, though the whole group found it hilarious. More often than not, they all had to make a group effort to stop Katsuki from blasting the offenders away from them. Granted, Hitoshi, Shoto, and Mei had to be held back too. Mei especially when they realized that she actually had taken apart the fidget cube and turned it into an explosive. Kaminari thankfully confiscated it after she threatened to blow up Uraraka's dorm when they got back. The end of the festival was a blessing for the group, but Hitoshi couldn't help but be thankful that their group was growing. Katsuki's friends had apologized profusely about not stepping up for Izuku, and promised that they'd speak up whenever they heard the others talking bad about him or them. It was a little late, but Hitoshi could tell their apologies were genuine, and they were honestly hilarious to hang out with, since their favorite activity was to push Katsuki's buttons. Shota sighed as he trudged up the stairs in his traditional outfit, holding hands with his husband. At least it's not raining, Hizashi offered. It was for the past 3 years, so I'm surprised that it's actually nice out tonight, Shota added. It made it a good night to take the kids out, Hizashi said, squeezing Shota's hand lightly. Yeah, except they're all still fighting, Shota sighed, dropping his head. The boys seem to be hanging out with more people again, though, Hizashi said. They were hanging out with Bakugo's old friends, Yaoyorozu and Jiro. I had to give out 5 detentions, Hizashi, Shota complained. 5, outside of school hours. I know, I'm sorry, Hizashi tried to comfort. Let's just go pay our respects, Shota said, shaking his head, as they reached the top of the stone steps. They walked the familiar path towards the stone grave that they visited regularly ever since high school. Hizashi squatted down and placed the red spider lilies they'd bought at the foot of the grave, and their petals glistened in the moonlight, resembling blood. Hey, Boro, Shota said softly. Miss you as always. He kneeled on the stone path, lining the graves, and Hizashi kneeled next to him. You won't believe the craziness that's happening at UA this month, Hizashi chuckled. Every time we think it's going to calm down, it only gets crazier. I wish you were the homeroom teacher instead, Shota whispered. I just know they'd love you. And they probably wouldn't be such brats either, he added with a chuckle. Hizashi chuckled at the last comment, shaking his head. Either way, We miss you and wish you were still here with us. We stopped by your mom's today, Shota said with a gentle smile. She's still as lovely and welcoming as ever. We made sure to bring her some red bean cake and green tea ice cream. She still loves getting your favorite sweets, Hizashi added. Hizashi even made the cakes himself. I was only trusted with the ice cream because we bought a machine finally, Shota laughed. Somehow I didn't break it, so I hope you're proud. Of course he is, Sho, Hizashi said, grabbing his hand and squeezing it. We'll probably be back next week or so to complain some more about the Hell class, Shota said, bowing to the grave. We love you, Oboro, Hizashi said, following his husband's movements. Don't ever forget that. They both stood from their kneeling positions and discreetly wiped the tears that had silently tracked down their faces. Turning from the grave, they intertwined their hands again and left the graveyard with heavy hearts. I don't want the kids to lose Midoriya like we lost Oboro, Zashi, Shota whispered. They won't lose him, Sho, Hizashi promised, bringing up their linked hands and setting a soft kiss to the back of Shota's hand. We'll get him back. He'll come home and be with his friends and his new boyfriend, and we'll find the real traitor. I really hope so, Zashi. I really hope so. Shota placed a kiss on the back of Hizashi's hand, and they continued their walk back to UA in silence. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 11 of The Fall of Icarus. I really like this chapter because I think it was cool how it kind of focuses on the class itself, the breakage in the class, Aizawa and Oboro and Hizashi, all that getting added in at the end, I thought was a really nice addition as well. And just a break from some of the stuff that's going on with Izuku, I thought was kind of nice too. Let me know your overall thoughts and reactions to this fic so far. And as always, thank you all so much for listening.